this is Bishop Walsh here. I'm going to start off by apologizing for my frog in my throat. My voice is not at 100%, but it sounds worse than it is. I feel fine. And I'm happy to be able to present this second part of the Eucharistic Revival series for Lent here at St. Francis Xavier Church in Petoskey. I'm here, it's actually on Sunday, where we're soon going to be having our Holy Hour and a Half, which is also part of the Eucharistic Revival. And so this is going to be the Monday series for March 6th. And today we're going to be looking at the second Holy Father and his reflections on the Eucharist. Last Monday we did St. John the 23rd, and today we'll take a look at St. Paul VI, St. Pope Paul VI. So as we've been reflecting, we remember that there's so much to the theology of the Eucharist we can delve into so deeply, and I hope that these are just kind of ways that contribute to the enhanced knowledge and the enhanced appreciation of the gift of the Eucharist in our lives. So I'll offer a few of the quotes that I was able to pull from Paul VI in his encyclical from 1965, Mysterium Fidei. The first quote: "We beseech you to foster devotion to the Eucharist, which should be the focal point and the goal of all other forms of devotion." So when we think of the Eucharist, what Paul was saying, that he's imploring this sense of devotion to the Eucharist because what fruits come from it. We pray that that devotion is something that we practice not only as an observer, but an active participant. And the way the Eucharist activates that desire for all the things that are good of the life of the church. It'll foster everything that will be a fruit of the Eucharist feeding us. Another quote: "And anyone who has a special devotion to the sacred Eucharist and who tries to repay Christ's infinite love for us with an eager and unselfish love of his own will experience and fully understand, and this will bring great delight and benefit to his soul, just how precious is a life hidden with Christ in God, and just how worthwhile it is to carry on a conversation with Christ. For there is nothing more consoling here on earth, nothing more efficacious for progress along the paths of holiness." So this conversation that we have with Christ is part of the Eucharistic experience. That might not be something that we often think about. It's a friendship with Christ, a conversation that we have. He speaks to us, we speak to him. We listen to him, he listens to us. That's all part of the human dynamics of a good relationship and communication, and that takes place during the Eucharist. It's a hidden type of experience so often that we only know or can even describe from that interior place of prayer that we know is real. It's not something contrived or that can be made up, but something that we know is genuine, and it's a real intimacy with God that is part of the communication with him. A third quote: "Hence it is that devotion to the divine Eucharist exerts a great influence upon the soul in the direction of fostering a social love in which we put the common good ahead of private good, take up the cause of the community, the parish, the universal church, and extend our charity to the whole world because we know that there are members of Christ everywhere." Again, expanding that sense of the Eucharist to how it helps us to see the broader vision. That's something that's part and parcel, as I think we're going to hear expressed in different ways. We heard that last week with John the 23rd, that it's not just a me and Jesus experience, but something that helps us to see the connection we have to our brothers and sisters, to the parish, to the community, to the rest of the world, to those that we are trained by faith to call our neighbor, some of the people that are united to us as Jesus establishes that bond between us. A fourth quote, and this existence remains present after the sacrifice in the Blessed Sacrament, which is in the tabernacle, the living heart of each of our churches. And it is our very sweet duty to honor and adore in the blessed host, which our eyes see, the incarnate Word, whom they cannot see, and who, without leaving heaven, is made present before us. I love when we have a chance to reflect more deeply on theological truths. And this brings out one of them, that Jesus remains in heaven, and yet he is here with us on earth. That's part of that mystery of faith. And we could say in reverse too, that Jesus is here, but he is also in heaven. And he is equally present in both places and has a unique way of connecting to us from both places. I think we should just always never underestimate just how powerful that is when we are in his loving presence, that everything that Jesus was in the historical personhood that we know of from 2,000 years ago is every bit present, magnified all the more from the experience of having gone through his passion, death, and resurrection. And that glory that is his now in heaven is poured out as part of our encounter with him on earth. And a fifth quote from Paul VI: the discovery of intimacy with God, the necessity for adoration, the need for intercession, the experience of Christian holiness shows us the fruitfulness of prayer in which God reveals himself to the spirit and heart of his servants. So when we think of the Eucharist, we are reminded of the need for intercession. Often it's important for us to bring what we are asking God for to the Eucharist. And we have a special part of the Mass that we call the general intercessions. But they will capture the broad sense of what we're praying for: the church, the world, the sick, the suffering, the poor, our loved ones who have died. And those are special intercessions, but we can also remember our private intercessions and how powerful the Mass is to be able to help bring about a listening of God to our pleas, asking him. And we can trust that he will respond in kind to what we are asking for. And this discovery of intimacy then is like that trusted friend, again, that we have been entrusting with what's in our heart and what we need to be able to ask for, to bring healing, to bring comfort, to bring strength, courage, whatever is needed through our intercession. And lastly, from Paul VI, he says this: perpetual adoration brings heaven's choice blessings in the first place on those generous souls that keep their hour-long tryst with the Lord. I like that word, a tryst with the Lord. So often we have opportunities to come to our churches and pray and be in the presence of the Lord. And we are so grateful that his presence is there. This time of Eucharistic revival, we've been experiencing adoration, and we hope that parishes will schedule that on a regular basis. I think there is a common theme that we're going to see through a lot of the quotes from the Second Vatican Council on, is this belief that adoration of the Eucharist enhances all the more our desire for Jesus when we celebrate Mass, and how we take Jesus with us in our discipleship. Adoration is a time of quiet, simple reflection, a time that we are being fed in a different way, again, not visibly so much, but invisibly, in that mysterious encounter of intimacy with God. So I thank you for taking the time to check in once again on this second week of Lent, reflecting on St. Paul VI, reflections on the Eucharist. And please check in once again next week when we are going to look at Pope John Paul I, which often we have a hard time nailing down some of the quotes that we can pull from his very short pontificate, only 33 days. But he did have some beautiful insights that I will share at the next time that we meet. Thank you for checking in again, and God bless your Lent, prayer, fasting, and almsgiving, rooted in the Eucharist. Peace to you.